I survived 100 days in hardcore Minecraft. Here is what happened.
As the day began, I set some goals for my time in this world. I decided early on I wanted an organic experience. While I would build some farms and redstone contraptions, I didn't want to optimize all the fun out of the game. I also didn't want to speedrun, I wanted to take my time for the full experience. With all that said, I still had goals for these 100 days. I wanted netherite gear, something I've never had as I hadn't played Minecraft seriously since before netherite existed. Most importantly, I wanted to kill the dragon. 100 days is plenty of time for both of these goals, so I wanted to start other projects and goals as I went. Minecraft is about creativity and freedom. I didn't want to restrict anything that I would do in this series with hard deadlines. Right by my initial spawn there was some exposed iron, so I'd begin my journey by immediately getting iron tools. Naturally, I would also need food. It's a good thing I can outswim salmon, I guess. Minecraft logic, don't overthink it. When I reached the far shore, I would find sheep and other animals and begin slaughtering them all. I would then sleep. I wasn't ready to fight the monsters of the night quite yet. The next morning, I would continue on my journey east. I would find a ravine. I would gather all of its iron and other materials, including copper. I wasn't sure what I'd use copper for yet, though. This is my first time playing on Minecraft 1.18. But I have 98 more days to worry about that. In a cave that branched off the ravine, I would kill my first foe and immediately after be rewarded by finding an amethyst geode. Again, being new to 1.18, I had no ideas if these were rare or even useful. Oh well, they looked pretty. Day 3, I would head to the surface. My days in the mine are over for now. I spent the whole day heading east. I slayed cows, sheared sheep, and fed the local predators hoping to get on their good side. I would work around the ice spike biome in the morning. While it may be useful later, for now I found the biome to be unbearable, but apparently I was wrong. I found an empty house on the edge of the snow. Nobody was home, so I left. Then, even after leaving the ice spike, the snow still found me. I guess nobody told the weatherman Christmas was last week. Where were you then? After another nomadic day sleeping under the stars, I woke up to a sound that startled me. Turns out it was just a fox. I had to remind myself they're more scared of me than I am of them. I hit the seas in search of my homeland. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew I would know when I saw it. The swamp. Not what I wanted, but it's what was above the swamp that interested me. There it was. I crested the hill of this savanna biome, back to the swamp, while facing the ocean. I could see it now. My home. Building began. I didn't finish my house on day 5, so I ended up sleeping in the open. I would make sure to get some cobblestone on day 6. I would create a rudimentary mine shaft, and on my way down, I would run into some zombies. I would easily kill them. They must want to eat my brains because they clearly didn't have any of their own. I found my first 1.18 cave a little further down my staircase, but I ended up backing out in order to finish my house. I would finish my walls right as the sun would set. I would wake up to a beautiful sunrise on day 7. I took a moment to admire my handiwork. While my home was still simple and needed expansions and renovations, I was pleased. I would head back down to the mine today and fight off mobs as I placed torches around the open cave. I saw a horde of mobs in the dark, including a witch. Fearful of these mobs, I chose to instead gather all the exposed iron quickly. If I died, all this work was for nothing. I ended up overstaying my welcome as when I returned to the surface, it was already night. I would have to fight off some mobs around my house before being able to sleep again. In the morning, the sun would finish off the skeletons and the zombies, but I would stay wary for any spiders or creepers lurking about. I didn't stay around very long though. I wanted diamonds, and for them, I'd have to dig deeper. I spent all day digging to bedrock before again returning home in the night. Day 9 was spent entirely in the mine. I was branch mining for diamonds. I burned through my current pickaxe and 2 brand new ones. I would not find any diamonds today. I guess diamonds are more rare in 1.18, or maybe I'm just not getting lucky yet. Still determined to get diamonds though, I would spend day 10 doing the exact same thing, and once again, no diamonds. Finally, on day 11, I would find 6 diamonds right away. I would return home to craft a diamond pick and store the rest with plants for an enchanting table. In order to get level 30 enchantments, I still needed bookshelves. I would then start a sugarcane farm on the coast below my base. This would quickly supply the paper I would require. With that, I would go to bed, getting the greatest sleep yet, knowing I had diamonds sitting in my house. I was greeted by the sound of zombies burning in the sun, a wonderful way to start day 12. With the past few days spent in the mine, I knew today would be best spent exploring around my home range. It wouldn't take long.
I was still visible from my home, and I would find an incomplete nether portal. I would fix this and light the portal. I wanted to know what my nether spawn was, so I entered quickly to take a peek. It wasn't a bad spawn, fairly safe. Still, I wanted to make sure I would make it safer. So on day 13, I would enter the nether again, planning to build a stone hut around my portal. 13 is regarded as an unlucky number, and to choose to spend this day in the nether was tempting fate. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little bit stitious. My base was meant to intimidate the dwellers of the nether, but in reality it would probably just signify me as a noob. With the nether base complete, I would start day 14 at my house. I would realize having mobs around my base was a bad idea and pretty easily avoidable. After remedying this, I went back to exploring, again not making it far from home. I would find a sunken ship with some loot right off the coast below my base. The most notable loot was a treasure map. I would follow this without hesitation. It would take me right by my nether portal where I would unearth a chest with plenty of good loot, including 2 more diamonds. After a successful treasure hunt, I ended day 14 pretty happy. I was reaching the point where I wanted to begin enchanting my tools. I crafted all the bookshelves I could, but I came up short. Realizing I had already prepared a sugarcane farm, it was leather that I now needed. I started a small wheat farm, which I would then use to create a cow pen. Luring in 4 cows, I would breed 2 more baby cows. The population would grow exponentially from here. A good day's work for a humble farmer. The morning of day 16, I noticed my chests were constantly full and my house was too small. While I knew it would be a longer project, I was ready to begin the process of creating a larger house. The whole day was spent terraforming and preparing the area for the build. Terraforming would take me into day 17. After terraforming was finally complete, I would begin gathering clay as I decided my house would have brick flooring. With the enchanting table still in my plans, I would also breed the cows again and harvest the sugarcane farm. The next day I went into the mine, but not after diamonds. I was out of coal and would get a sufficient amount while also gathering some iron along the way. During this time, I also found the first glow squid I had ever seen in the game. There was a lake down in my cave where they frequently spawned. I realized there wasn't too much important use for them, but if I ever required glow sacks, at least I knew exactly where to go. The progress of my house would begin again on day 19. I would start the day by gathering clay down in the swamp. I had a close call after initiating a fight with an enderman. A reminder, I still have a ways to go before I could handle the ender dragon. After getting sufficient clay, I would go to the nether to acquire blackstone, another block that I'd be using for my house. These days were going by quick, as I was primarily focused on one goal, and a lot of the work required to achieve my goal was fairly monotonous. But it was finally time to start making visible progress. The morning of day 20, I had a wandering trader come by, and while none of his trades were very valuable, I went ahead and bought a pufferfish bucket because why not? I would then begin to lay the foundation for my home, a good first step in its construction. As the night came, the villager who I'd been cursing out all day to get lost and blocking me when I was building drank an invisibility potion. That's not exactly what I had in mind. I would begin on the floor of the house before calling it a day. After 5 days of progress, I realized I would need enchanted tools to speed up this process. I would start day 21 gathering lava from the nether, which I would use to turn into obsidian. While in the nether, I would also mine some quartz so I could finally reach level 30. I was ready to craft the enchanting table now, but the sun was setting. I woke up on day 22 and spent the first little bit doing some housework, but was mainly focused on gathering a few more materials for bookshelves. I would hunt down some cows and do one final harvest on my sugarcane farm. At long last, on day 23, I had acquired the last necessary resources to craft all of the bookshelves I would need, but I'd have to wait until the sunrise the next morning. So finally, on the morning of day 24, I would be able to place my enchanting table with sufficient bookshelves. I decided my first enchantment would be on my diamond pickaxe, and I was hoping for fortune. Unfortunately, I did not get fortune, but efficiency 4 on breaking 3 would still be a great help in the diamond mines. I had to put it to the test. Down in my branch mine, I would mine 8 more diamonds that day, more than I had mined in 3 combined days with only iron pickaxes. At least diamonds wouldn't take me nearly as long to find anymore. So when I woke up on day 25, I had some diamonds burning a hole in my pocket. I needed to use them. I would craft a diamond sword and chestplate. I decided to enchant the sword. I figured I'd rather gamble an item only worth 2 diamonds on a mysterious enchant. Success! I ended up getting an Unbreaking 3 Sharpness 4 enchantment. Exactly what I was hoping for. The only thing that could have made it better was looting, but I was happy. For the rest of the day, I would go and gather some more coal as I found myself short. I would head to a mountain near my nether portal, where it would secure the extra coal and take me to the night. I was feeling proud on day 26. My progression over the previous few days was significant. This inspired me to keep moving forward. While I would start the day breeding some of my cows, I would then gather what TNT I already had or was able to craft and head to the nether. I would use this TNT to gather my first 2 ancient debris. I've always had a little bit of an obsession with Minecraft TNT. Years ago I was an avid TNT candidator on faction servers. Now that I had a practical use for TNT in vanilla survival, I was pretty focused on exploiting this. On day 27 I recognized I would need a lot more TNT if I were to continue this strategy. I was planning to build a creeper farm, and I found the perfect design on YouTube, a design by Waddles. I would spend this day marking a spot above the ocean where I would build. Then, I would begin gathering the necessary materials on day 28. I would spend the whole day cutting down trees in the swamp below my home. I would replant, of course, for sustainability's sake. From this wood, I would get the 6 stacks of trapdoors I required. On day 29, I was continuing to work on this project. But first, I had to clear out some pillagers who found their way onto my shore. And after taking them out, I made sure to place the flag to remind their friends, this land is mine. This day was mostly just running around and crafting, but it was all for a purpose. When night finally came, I would spend the time hunting mobs in the swamp, and finally found what I was looking for, a slime. With these slime balls, I would finally have everything I needed. Day 30, I would finally begin building the bottom and basic structure of the creeper farm. That night though, I would head to the mine, as I required more building blocks and I had chosen deep slate to do the trick. Along the way, I did manage to procure an additional 8 diamonds. This mining trip, though, did take longer than I expected, as I didn't resurface until day 32. I would go back to work on day 32, where I would continue adding layers to the design. I would work all night and well into day 33. I would continue work, and before I knew it, it was day 34, and I continued going, and next thing you knew, it was day 35, but the creeper farm was complete. With the creeper farm completed, the remainder of day 35 would be spent AFKing above the farm to stockpile some gunpowder. It wasn't quite as efficient as I'd hoped for, but I had more TNT now, and I would take it to the nether on day 36. I was excited to get my first netherite, but with my limited TNT, I would not find any more ancient debris today. I would head back to the creeper farm on day 37 and do some small changes to make it more efficient. I also included a safer box above it to AFK in. I would spend the evening and night of this day AFKing once more. Day 38, I would gather what gunpowder the farm produced and head home. It was enough standing around and working on side projects. My house needed finishing. Day 39, 40, 41, and 42 would all be spent working on my house. By day 42, my house would be nearing completion. I would decide to head to the nether to gather the last bit of blackstone I would need. And you guessed it, I brought some TNT with me just in case. I wouldn't score any ancient debris. When I got home on day 33, I would finish my house with the exception of the roof, using some of the blackstone I had gathered from the nether. I would then head into the mine on day 44 to get some more deep slate, and along the way, I would actually find some more diamonds as well. Feeling tired of all the grinding, it was time to explore. Day 45, I would enchant some diamond armor in preparation for a journey in the nether. Then, I was off. As soon as I got in the nether, I would trade with the piglin and get a pair of soul speed boots. These would come in handy. I was careful to mark my way back with torches on polished deep slate blocks. As day 45 would come to an end, I would spot a bastion. Right as day 46 would begin, I would find myself entering this bastion. A very risky journey. With the onset of day 46, my exploration into the bastion began. I first would have to kill all the piglin brutes, and then I was able to loot the chests. I was fearful of there being more brutes, so I got a little lucky with the first few, so I chose to leave the bastion. I was already happy with what I had got. My sights were now set on a different structure. I needed to find a fortress. I would spend all day searching, and finally at the end of day 46, I would see a fortress off in the distance. Day 47, I'd begin to close ground on the fortress, and with a little bit of a risky pillar, I would finally enter this fortress. I would acquire the blaze rods I was after, but I'd also find nether wart and diamond. This exploration took all day, and at the end of day 47, it was time to begin traveling home. It would take long, but I'd be back at the portal before the day was over. Day 48, I would be waking up in my own house, and I'd be able to harvest my wheat farm, breed some cows, and grab some of my gold. I wanted to go back to the nether to trade with more piglins. So with 50 gold, I went and started trading. I didn't get the ender pearls I was after, and this unfortunately took my entire day. So on day 49, I went back with even more gold, and I did the exact same. But this day, I would actually get the ender pearls I was hoping for. By the end of day 50, I wanted to find the stronghold, and I finally had the materials necessary to do so. So on the morning of day 50, I set off, following eyes of the Ender leading me to the stronghold. I would cross an ocean and spot a few new biomes, such as a jungle. I'd eventually travel through a swamp, and about halfway through the swamp, my eyes of Ender started going straight down. I must have made it. I'd begin tunneling down. I would spend the rest of the day searching for the portal room, as I was caught in the labyrinth of the stronghold. It was my goal to have this portal located by the end of day 50, and finally, I found it. I would secure the portal room, but I would not yet light the portal. The time to fight the Ender Dragon has yet to come. I would begin to staircase up to the surface, where I would then head home. On the morning of day 51, knowing I had already found the end portal, I figured it was as good a time as any to finish my roof, and I'd end up working on that all day. Perfection. Day 52 was spent clearing out my basement. I needed a proper storage area. I would need more bricks for my basement, so after getting some XP in the caves, I would enchant a diamond shovel. I got Efficiency 4 Unbreaking 3 Silk Touch. As great as getting Silk Touch may be, this would not help me gather clay. The next day I noticed my diamond pickaxe was nearly broken, but I didn't want a new diamond pickaxe. I wanted a netherite one. So I would spend all of day 53 AFKing at my creeper farm. When day 54 began, I would enter the nether, now armed with TNT. I only had a few TNT, my creeper farm had some issues, so I wouldn't find any more ancient debris. With this revelation, I would spend day 55 improving my creeper farm. What was happening was other mobs were spawning, thus limiting the amount of creepers that would spawn. While still unable to entirely solve the spider infestation, I was able to stop zombies and skeletons from spawning, a step in the right direction. I was no longer in any rush. I had already located the end portal, so I just wanted to focus on getting some netherite. With this in mind, I would spend all of day 56 and 57 AFKing at the creeper farm. For my limited research, TNT was the way to go for mining ancient debris. While bed mining also seemed efficient, it was a little more dangerous, a little bit slower, and a whole lot less fun. So on day 58, I would now have 13 TNT and head to the nether. This would be my best mining day yet. I ended up finding 10 ancient debris without even using all TNT I had brought. The odds were, for once, in my favor. I would head home, smelt the debris, and craft myself a netherite pickaxe. My first netherite tool in Minecraft ever. Day 59, I knew I had to enchant my netherite pickaxe before using it, so I'd head to the mine and fight some mobs, getting level 30. I got a little overconfident on this journey and actually got pinned by a group of mobs and nearly died by a baby zombie. It was all worth it though, as when I returned, I would enchant the perfect pickaxe. Efficiency 4, Unbreaking 3, Fortune 3. With Fortune now on my pickaxe, I would head to the mines for the entirety of day 60. This trip alone would net me 43 diamonds. This one mining trip, I gathered nearly double the amount of diamonds I had acquired in the 60 days prior. This Fortune pickaxe is a lifesaver. Now that I had an abundance of diamonds, I felt no issue at all crafting a diamond shovel to gather clay, even if it wasn't enchanted. But before I would do that, I found myself once again out of coal. I would head to the large mine shaft down the staircase in the cave. While exploring the mine shaft, I would find a spider spawner. I would mark this for a potential project in the future. I was tempting death when at the spawner though. A cave spider nearly got the best of me. But I'd survive, and while leaving the mine with plenty of coal, iron, and gold, I was hoping this would be my last mining venture for a while. With coal acquired, it was time to return to work on my basement. I would begin day 62 by gathering some more clay in the swamp, and while this clay was smelting, I would use my additional ancient debris and shards to create 2 more netherite ingots. I would use these ingots to upgrade my leggings and my sword. The clay finished smelting, and I began to lay the bricks for the basement's floor. The next few days went by pretty quick. Day 63, I would finish laying the bricks for the floor and begin on the walls. Day 64, I would finish the walls and place a couple of chests. And on day 65, I would finally have all of my items moved into the basement and properly organized. The morning of day 66, I was pleased. All of my items were organized in the basement, and I was now sporting netherite armor. So I thought it would be only just if I were to put my original armor set on display. The Genesis set. I would acquire more mementos and souvenirs for display as time went on, and it was important for me to display these things. Remember, the fun is often in the journey, not the destination. With this in mind, I would spend the rest of day 66 happily expanding my wheat farm, and of course, I'd end the day breeding my cows.
Starting to establish more than just a house, but a home range, I would spend all of day 67 building a road to my wheat farm and then to my nether portal. To finish my roads, I still needed bridges. So on day 68, I would head to the jungle biome I had found back on day 50. It turned out to be an incredibly small jungle. Fortunately, all I wanted was to cut down some trees. I would use the planks from these trees to build my bridges. So naturally, day 69 was spent both using this wood to build the required bridges and fighting the urge to make a stupid joke. The bridges were complete and all I needed now was a few more stacks of gravel. I would get this gravel in the nether on day 70. I brought some TNT with me, but would not uncover any more ancient debris. I also went ahead and mined some more quartz in order to reach level 30. I would place this gravel to finish my roads on my way back. And as soon as I got home, I would use my 30 levels to enchant a bow. I would need one for the Ender Dragon. I got power 4. It would do the trick. Realizing I was already preparing for the Ender Dragon, I realized how pitiful my farms were. I would spend day 71 planting a watermelon and pumpkin farm. I also began gathering the materials I would need for an automatic chicken farm design I had found on YouTube. I would continue to work into day 72 where I would gather all the materials necessary and complete the automatic chicken farm. I would have to lure some chickens into the containment chamber and start breeding them to make the chicken farm more efficient. Following that, my cows had a big surprise. It was butchering day. I would kill roughly half. I would breed them again once my wheat farm would be fully grown. I would continue getting more chickens in the farm on day 73, but it was time to start my next project. I'd begin building an experience farm with the blaze spawner I had previously located in the nether. But before I could do so, I would need to gather the materials I would need, and that would take me the rest of the day. The next morning, I would finish smelting some glass, and then harvest my wheat farm to breed my cows before heading out. Construction would begin on day 75. It was very messy and risky. I eventually encased the spawner to stop it from spawning blazes on me, but even then there were still blazes spawning elsewhere shooting fireballs at me. Day 76, catastrophe struck. I realized I was short on building materials. The design I was watching was specific about the amount of materials needed, so with this, I realized I had accidentally built the chamber too large. This was fixable, but after taking so much armor damage from the blazes, I considered the project failed for now, and would head home defeated. I would decide now to put this project off until after day 100. It would be left for my 200 days video. So while there's plenty of excitement left in the upcoming days, make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss the 200 days video. The journey home on day 77 was risky. My gold boots would be broken when fighting a ghast. I was able to get Return to Sender achievement, but now I was in the nether without gold armor. I would have to fight off a few piglins on my way to the portal. Being so close to the dragon fight, and also to day 100, this was an unnecessarily risky journey to take. But I had made it home alive. I was still shook from my nether trip on the morning of day 78, so I decided to stay in. I would begin preparing the materials I would need for my dragon fight. I would brew night vision and health potions. I also realized I could not sleep for a few days as I would need to kill some phantoms for slow falling. I may have had 21 days left to fight the dragon, but I was lacking some crucial materials. I was able to plant some bamboo that day as well. I was planning to use scaffolding instead of ladders. To end the day off, I would enchant a new diamond chestplate and get my ideal enchantments. Protection 4, Unbreaking 3. A productive day. As the sun rose on day 79, I would head out to check on my chicken farm and a creeper explosion nearly ruined everything. I then decided to craft some walls and begin creating a perimeter around my torch-lit boundary to avoid this ever happening again. This would take me into day 80. Day 80. Only 20 days remaining, and the dragon still lives. I was more determined than ever, knowing that the fight was coming soon. But not quite yet. I would start by harvesting all of my farms that I'd let grow for a while now. Once that was done, it was time for a small addition to my house. I noticed a sea cave when placing the border wall and figured it would serve perfectly to create a tunnel to my basement. This small cave area could easily be transformed into a dock. I spent the rest of day 80 digging the tunnel. As day 81 began, I would find myself just finishing up placing the cobblestone flooring in the tunnel. The rest of the day would be spent decorating my new dock. And naturally, I'd end the day by storing my boats here, so I'd always be ready to explore when the time came. While I was ready to explore, I had some more housekeeping to attend to. I would spend day 82 harvesting more steak. I would then finish my chicken farm and activate it to now work automatically. In doing this, I was attacked by phantoms. Finally. None of these phantoms dropped membranes though, so I'd have to hope some more would come by later. The storm began to brew in the middle of the day, but a farmer still needs to tend to his fields. I would harvest my wheat farm, but the storm came during the middle of my harvest. Mobs would attack me, which wasn't a real risk, but then the phantoms came.
Just what I needed, phantom membranes. Now that I had the membranes I needed, I went home up the hill to sleep out the storm. The next morning, I would use these membranes to brew my slow-falling potions. With these potions, I was just about ready to fight the dragon, but I yearned for one more overworld adventure, knowing this could be my last chance to explore this world if the dragon bested me. So I headed to my dock and began sailing past my creeper farm to see what laid on the far side of the ocean. But it wasn't far at all. In fact, I could still see my creeper farm when I saw land, a jungle biome no less. I searched the jungle for a temple with no luck, but did find a ruined portal that may come in handy later. Good chance it's close to my blaze farm. After going through the jungle, I searched a beach ship and took the loot. With the sun setting, I found my way back to a nearby village where I would steal a villager's bed for a well-needed rest. Waking up, I'd explore the village to start out day 84. There were some decent trades in the village that I would remember. After looting all the villagers' chests and stealing some of their hay bales, I continued exploring. And not far away, I found an ice spike biome connected to a snowy spruce forest. And alas, another village was in that forest. The trades here were not promising, and there was no loot of note, so I left the village untouched. Well, except for their horse that I stole, with the saddle that I also stole from them. Anyways, I retraced my steps on horseback and even tried my hand at horseback combat. I found my way to the jungle biome on the beach where I would stash my steed. I'd have to bring him across the water another day. I sailed home and arrived on the main floor of my house just in time for sunrise on day 85. Now that I had satisfied my need for one last overworld adventure, the only thing left to do in the remaining days was to face the Ender Dragon. While I was likely prepared to do so already, and have been for a while, I was being stubborn and still wanted to wait. I thought killing the Ender Dragon on day 100 would be poetic, so long as I didn't die. So it was time to begin my final preparations, whether they were necessary or not. I would spend day 85, 86, 87, 88, and 89 AFK at my creeper farm. I was hoping to get some TNT so I could upgrade another piece of my armor before the fight. Late on day 89, I would return home and sleep. I didn't want any phantoms around these last few days. Day 90, I would immediately craft all the TNT I could and head to the nether. With this 27 TNT, I would blow up a few tunnels in search for my ancient debris. I already had one netherite scrap, so I only needed to find 3 more ancient debris. Unfortunately, I would only find 2 more with all of this TNT. So while the trip was not really a success, I'm sure this extra debris will come in handy later, as long as I do survive the fight with the dragon. I would head home at sunset and begin to smelt the debris before resting. The next morning, I came to terms with the fact that I've been putting off fighting the dragon for too long already. The final preparation was to mine a little more gold in the nether so I could craft some golden apples, and with that, I organized my inventory to head out after one final night's rest. So as soon as day 92 began, I set sail towards the end portal with everything I would need for the fight. I would arrive midday and take the staircase downwards, and upon arriving, I would light the portal with the exact number of Eyes of Enders required. I would stash my shovel and axe. They probably would not be needed in the end. And then finally, I took a leap of faith. I arrived in the end to a fairly safe obsidian platform. From here, I would staircase up to the surface where I'd first explore the island before beginning the battle. I would start by shooting the crystals, which were healing the dragon, of course. I'd soon realize it was easier with night vision, so I would drink the potion that I brought with me. Most crystals I took down were from the safety of the ground, but one of them was just a little bit too tall. I would use my scaffolding to scale this pillar to destroy the crystal. I would then snipe from its peak. I would return to the ground where only one crystal remained, and I would go over to shoot it. During all of this, though, I was being attacked by some endermen, so I had to fight them off. This took longer than I expected. But now, with all the crystals done, it was time to turn my attention to the dragon. He would perch, and I would put my first shots on him. He would throw me in the air, but I was prepared for this. I had already drank a slow-falling potion from when I climbed to the pillar. After his perch, I would volley arrows his way as he flew around his domain. Fortunately, he came in for another perch, and then another, and as he made his final approach to what would be his final perch, I would stick him with an arrow, leaving him at 1 health, and then I would run in and slay him with a strong hit with my trusty netherite sword. And that was it. The dragon was dead. The end was free. I was careful during all this to use some empty bottles to get dragon's breath along the way, and now that the dragon was dead, I was careful to acquire the dragon egg. With the beast slain and the items acquired, I headed home. With the last few days, I'd go back to the end and gather endstone and obsidian to build a shrine around the dragon egg. I'd return home to build the structure. I'd do some other shopkeeping while home. I'd harvest my farms one last time. I would map my area for display next to my bed, and I'd even set some goals for my future in this world. But that would have to wait, because finally, it was day 100. The obsidian tree commemorating the dragon egg was completed. I had made it. Thank you for watching. This was a very fun journey, but remember, it's only the beginning, so make sure to subscribe.